Hello, citizens of our small and fragile world. You know what was not fragile? Hammurabi of Babylon's empire over Mesopotamia, nowadays Iraq. Let's see how he took control of the entire region after a small like and a subscribe, of course. Back then, in 1772 BC, Hammurabi, the Amorite king of Babylon, is only one of the many rulers in the region. Ibalpiel II of Eshnuna, north of Babylon, is another greedy one who takes control of the land of Suhum, south of Mari, after fueling a revolt of Benjaminite Bedouin nomads. Oh my god! Against Zimrilin, the king of Mari and its surroundings. A recent alliance between the Yamkad kingdom of Aleppo and Mari is the cause of Ibalpiel II's caprice. Still not appeased, the king of Eshnuna seizes Ekalatum in Assyria and Shekna, capital of Apum, as well, all in these regions. To try and regain some kind of composure, the following year Zimrilin of Mari takes Ashlaka and maybe Kahat, not far from Nagar. A peace is settled in 1770 between Eshnuna and Mari, Ibalpier II having the upper hand but still making some territorial concessions, so Zimrilin doesn't come crying at his doorstep. So you see, Hammurabi of Babylon is going to have to compete with some ferocious competitors. He'll need some ally in this fight, to start off at least. King of Elam in nowadays western Iran, Siwepala Kupak, is his man. Together, they settle an alliance and march against Eshnuna. And guess what? Zimrilin of Mari joins them. Of course, Ibalpier II is overwhelmed, and this year, 1766 BC, or the next, he perishes. Not a man to take a rest before he's completely done, Siwepala Kupak then heads north, then west, towards the Kabur River. There, he splits his forces into two parts. The first part, under Elamite and Amorite generals Kunam and Atamrum, secure Ekalatum and Shekna in this region. The second part marches against Babylonia. What in the hell? Hammurabi and Zimrilin of Mari quickly unite with several local Amorite kinglets, and also with Yarim Lim I of Aleppo and Yamkad. And by the way, if you wonder what these are, it's mace heads, with an inscription reading Palace of Hammurabi on them. So, when Yarim I of Aleppo dies in 1765, his son, also called Hammurabi, stays in the alliance against Siwe Palar Kupak. And, of course, against so many enemies, the gluttonous Elamite cannot win. In 1764 BC, both of his armies, in Assyria and Babylonia, are stopped. At Hiritum, maybe in the Kabur region, the king himself is defeated by the alliance that has again been reinforced by an Amorite Atamrum. Babylon city itself has been spared any destruction, and Siwepala Kupak, frustrated, plunders Eshnuna before retreating to his land of Elam. Does it surprise you that such large-scale wars of ancient time are still unheard of by the vast majority of people today? Tell us what you think in the comments below, and subscribe, of course. In 1763 BC, our king Hammurabi of Babylon deems himself truly ready for some major conquests. Still in alliance with Eshnuna and Mari, he marches southward against the ancient city-states of Old Sumer and Akkad. He takes the minor Mashkan Shapir, and then with his army of 40,000 men proceeds on besieging the powerful Larsa, city of King Rimsin I. The affair lasts for 6 months. Part of the city is flooded by deflecting the course of the stream, and finally it falls. Its walls are razed to the ground. Rimsin of Larsa, a longtime enemy of Babylon, see the previous video, loses his crown, and so his cities and Ur and Uruk also fall into Hammurabi's hands. At later dates that we unfortunately have difficulties estimating, Hammurabi attacks Elam and prevails, then turns against Assyria and wins, ending the old Assyrian kingdom as soon as its second king, Ishmedagan I. Let us note that soon after its taking by Hammurabi, Larsa was attacked by Semitic nomads of the Levant, Suteans. In the end, Hammurabi will hire some of them to serve as fighting mercenaries, messengers, and guides. Assyrians will do so too until the start of the next millennium. Last mentions of them in history, Gutians of Mount Zagros are said to have served as mercenaries too, but rather against Hammurabi, working for Eshnunna and Elam. One ancient text even mentions 10,000 of them serving a queen of Nawar, but all this is hazy, even the location of Nawar. So, if you wonder what this column thingy is, I teased about it in the last video. What Hammurabi of Babylon is really famous for, the code named after him. Written on this monument, under his image receiving some gift of an ancient god, is indeed inscribed the code of laws that Hammurabi had established under the form of such sentences, each giving an offense and its corresponding punishment. I like doing that. When an officer or soldier, having received the order to join the king's service, does not go, but send a mercenary in his stead and keeps the bounty, he is put to death, and he who represented him takes possession of his house. What do you think of this article? Yea or nay? Let's move on. 1762 BC. Hammurabi now decides to go to war against Silisin, governor of Eshnunna since 1766. This doesn't take long, as Eshnunna falls in 1761. Hammurabi, the Amorite king of what comes to be called as Babylonia or the Four Quarters, now turns his gaze towards Mari. Of course, the city falls. In 1760 BC, its last Amorite king, Zimrilim, not helped at all by his brother-in-law Hammurabi I of Yamkad, is dethroned. Hammurabi of Babylon is now at the head of a unified kingdom stretching from the Persian Gulf to the south to the valleys of the Tigris and Euphrates to the north, and from the Zagros Mountains to the Mediterranean Sea. He fortified several cities like Sippar in Sumer and Akkad, mark of power at the time. In 1758 BC, Mari has the terrible idea to revolt against the new Babylonian rule. For it, after a hard taming, Hammurabi destroys its ramparts. Here you can see ruins of the palace of Mari. While this time, a small remnant of late Zimrelin of Mari's kingdom called Hana remains around the city of Terka, a little bit westward on the Euphrates. We'll note too that Hammurabi I of Aleppo and Yamkad, even more westward, has slightly expanded his possessions towards the Kabul River after the fall of his brother-in-law. And in 1757 comes what probably is Hammurabi's last personal campaign. He attacks Assyria and seizes its capital Assur. The death of Hammurabi will come in 1750 BC, and after him, his kingdom of Babylonia and the Four Quarters will already start to diminish. The vanishing of the Indus civilization far to the east, commercial partner, may have been one of the causes of this early decline. Next century, the fact that Babylon's army was probably essentially composed of infantrymen will also play against it, when Kassites and Hurrians of the north, adepts of the war chariot, will invade. Alright, enough for today. See you in the next video where we will talk again of the Hyksos. We met them in the last video that are invading Egypt, and we will truly at last meet the Hittite Empire. Thank you for your comments, likes, and subscriptions. Don't forget to promote the channel to whomever you know may be interested. This was the Archivist. Bye bye.